Okay, who brought the dog? Here's your look at the Weta Workshop Mini Epics Ghostbusters Zuul. From Weta Workshop, the Ghostbusters Mini Epics are high-end vinyl figures that have been digitally sculpted by 3D artist Mauro Santini. Big, bulky hellhound with raging red eyes seeks new master. Can you command Zuul? From the entire line of the Mini Epics Ghostbuster collectibles that Weta Workshop put out in Wave 1 and Wave 2, the one that I was the most interested in picking up was the Terror Dog Zuul. In fact, that one chance encounter of going into my local comic book store looking to buy something else actually, I saw the entire set on the back shelf, and the first one, I kid you not, the one that I grabbed immediately was the Terror Dog Zuul. And even so, I pulled it down and then looked around to see if there was another one available. There wasn't another one available, but I did manage to get the rest of the Epic Minis, so at least I can complete this set. Let's bring in those other Epic Minis right now so you can see the difference in size. Here's the Terror Dog next to Peter Venkman. Here's the Terror Dog next to Winston Zedmore. Let's bring in Egon Spangler. Again, I still have to go in there and fix the neutrino wand that has detached from the backpack. Here he is next to Ray Stantz. And just freeing up just enough space. I feel like I'm blocking the Terror Dog just a little bit, moving him over just a little bit. Here he is next to Slimer. Now this makes up the entire first and second wave. Really, both the waves were only 3 figures, so there really wasn't a lot to collect. But again, the price point on these guys, I know I'm going to sound like that person again. Keep talking about the price point. $41.99. About $42 here locally in Canadian comic book stores. Still, again, I feel like that's a little high. The tier, the top ceiling, so to speak, when it comes to the prices, I think these guys should have landed around, at the very most, $30. But they were a little bit more than that. It is a pricier premium collectible. You know, admittingly, you're still getting nice looking statues, because essentially they're not going to have posability. Nice statues that you can put on display, but yes, they are a little pricier if you're looking to pick these up for yourself. And no, in case you're curious, no, the Terror Dog doesn't come included with the display stand, nor should she anyways. I have to keep reminding myself that this is Zuul and not Vince Clortho. It's the she, Terror Dog. But no, she doesn't come included with a display stand, but she does come included with a booklet. I'm not going to go through the entire booklet already, but I will show you one thing I may have overlooked when showing you guys the booklet before, a silhouetted tease of Predator. Predator could be rather interesting. We already have Alien figures released by Weta Workshop. Predators could certainly be fun. And I mean, looking at the proportions, you can see quite a little bit larger in the shoulders, a little skinnier in the waist. Yeah, I think Predators could definitely work under the Mini Epics line. I'm going to move that to the side. And of course, the real star of the show here, I feel at least, is the Terror Dog Zuul. I loved all the figures that we've looked at so far, but by far for me, the one that had to be picked up above all else was the Terror Dog. Even if I really was going to be passing on the other ones, I think Slimer and Terror Dogs were the ones I was going to go with, and then sort of you know how it usually goes, falling into the rabbit hole, and you think to yourself, I'll get one. I'll just get the one. And then before you know it, you're completing the entire set in your wallet's like, why did you do that? Why did you do that? They're nice, certainly nice looking figures. And like I said, the crowning jewel for me is the Terror Dog. Let's pick it up. And there's a fair bit of weight, actually, you'll notice when you do pick this up, or you may not even notice it, but just take my word for it. There is a fair bit of weight when you're picking up the Terror Dog. Now, again, this is Zuul, so the idea is that this is supposed to be Dana Barrett. The horns, notably, I guess, are smaller than what we would be getting if there was a Vince Clortho. I really hope that we do get ourselves a Vince Clortho Terror Dog. I mean, if not the case, why would they then call the packaging not just the Terror Dog? They actually call it Zuul, so you got to believe they're calling it Zuul specifically for the reason of releasing Vince Clortho down the road. But if there was to be a difference between the two, the Vince Clortho would have the longer horns sticking out and more curved down as well. But I guess if you wanted just to look at this as a generic Terror Dog, it serves the purpose and fills the place rather nicely. It has some really interesting sculpting going for it. And I can only hope that I'm doing enough justice of this in this review. I love the coloring of the dark crimson red eyes, especially the way they've painted the pupils, more of a spiraling white. It's rather interesting the way they've done that. Of course, the jowl area here, as you can see, has the overlapping skin painted nicely in the pink. One thing also I really like about the Terror Dog that I haven't really seen with the other figures we've looked at so far from the mini epics is that this one has kind of a cell shading going for it. An otherwise fairly dark gray body, but then it has this nice little printing that they've done along the top area of the back, the top of the head area there, and the back of its legs as well. Not to mention as well that when you flip it upside down, you'll be treated as well to this additional airbrushing of pink that they've done to the underbelly, and actually some of the padded areas of the paws too. I like the way that this one paw is lifted up like this, so you get the idea that it looks like it wants to walk and move forward. The overlapping of the skin looks quite nicely as well, especially this area here. Would this be the gullet? The gullet of the Terror Dog? We'll stick with the idea it's a gullet. I like the fact that it has that kind of loose, flappy skin going for it. It almost looks like you should be able to pose it just by the way that this one leg here is cut. And actually, really, all the legs kind of look like they were assembled after the fact. But no, you can't actually remove them. Or you can't move them, I should say, back and forth. It really has some interesting, really interesting pose going for it. A little tiny little tail. Look at this tiny little tail on the Terror Dog here. But I like this one. I really, really like this one a lot. Even if they don't ultimately release a second one of these as Vince Clortho, I'm still going to try to track down another one of these. The unfortunate end of things, though, is that because they don't have a Wave 3, I think a Gozer would have also worked quite well. If you had, say, Zuul, just use your imagination if you can. The one side you would have had Zuul. And like a mirror-flipped, curved Terror Dog would be right here of Vince Clortho. And then right in the middle, you could have yourself, you could have Gozer. I think that would be fun. But as it stands right now, I think we've only gotten the first two waves. The 4 Ghostbusters, the Slimer, and then, of course, the Terror Dog. My favorite, though, by far, is the Terror Dog. And even if I, let's just say, decided for myself, no, I wasn't. No, be good, collector. You're not going to go down the rabbit hole this time around. Only pick one figure and then settle on that. Don't go out and start buying the rest of them. If that was the case, I would only have picked up the Terror Dog. I don't feel like it has to necessarily go along with something else. Of course, it's the 7th figure. Is it the 7th figure? I guess it's the 6th figure. Even though, no, that's not right, because the 4 Ghostbusters, Slimer, Terror Dog. Even if they had just released this on his own, though, or her own, I would certainly have just picked her up by herself, because it's a really nice looking representation of the Terror Dog. Again, kind of that super deformed style where you've got a really large head, equally large body, and little tiny back hind legs. It works really well. Like, this design style works really, really well with the Terror Dog. And again, one last comparison. We can just put down the Terror Dog, and we can bring in the other Ghostbusters. There's Egon once again, bringing in Ray. Ray, I think, is still my favorite of the 4 Ghostbusters we looked at so far. I shouldn't even say so far, because that's all the Ghostbusters. Peter Venkman, one more time. Peter, your girlfriend right there. Winston Zeddemore. Keep blocking off everything. And then we sort of started our look back at these figures because we had done the Peter Venkman a while ago, but we start our reviews again looking at Slimer. Just again, bring Slimer in so you can see. Fan these all out so that we're freeing up enough space so you can see the Terror Dog in all its glory. Could, yes, Weta Workshop release a Vince Clortho version of the Terror Dog? Yes, absolutely. And I think really what they could do is just literally mirror flip the mold so it would be curving around the other way. And then down the road, release a Gozer. I think Gozer could work really well with the really large eyes like that. That style, I think, would work really well with a character like that. Whether it will happen or not, that I don't know. As of right now, we only got, I think, Wave 1 and Wave 2. And I don't even know if they're broken down by wave, but the way that they're boxed, certainly there's unique numbers. Like Slimer's number 1, 2, and 3 were Peter Venkman and Egon Spangler, and then the second wave was Ray, Terror Dog, and Winston Zeddemore. So, I mean, that was basically the waves so far. And whether they will be releasing more of them, time will certainly tell. I hope they do, because I think there's, again, the possibility of a Louis Tully, a Dana Barrett, just on their own, like the possessed versions of them, a Gozer, and another Terror Dog. And I guess you could release the 4 figures that way. Maybe a Janine, I don't know. We're going down the rabbit hole, I know. I've already gone down the rabbit hole. Either way, though, I love these collectibles. My favorite, though, is the Terror Dog, and I really like that how it turned out, whether we get another one or not. Still, even on its own, if you decide to pick up one for yourself and you really don't want to go down the same rabbit hole as this humbled reviewer behind the camera, I would say at the very least, if you're a Ghostbusters fan, pick up the Slimer, pick up the Terror Dog, and you'll be one happy collector. So you're probably having a tough time with the math, like I'm having a tough time with the math. How could you have Ray Stantz, Winston Zeddemore, and Zuul as 5, 6, and 7? There's only 6 characters. How does that work? Well, Wave 1 would have been Slimer as number 1, Venkman 2, 3 was Spangler, 5 and 6 were Ray and Winston, and then 7 was Zuul, but you're missing then a number in the middle. Where's 4? Well, 4, I think, is actually the convention-exclusive glow-in-the-dark Slimer. I think that's how you get the 7 figures. And because I couldn't figure out the math. Why would there be 5, 6, and 7, and there's only 6 figures? It is, again, because I think the glow-in-the-dark Slimer represents number 4. Now that we've sorted out the math, going back, though, to the review of Zuul and final looks as it's spinning around in the rotisserie, what a great-looking figure. I keep wanting to say they're figures, and that's really wrong of me to do that, because there's no posability anything on these. They're basically staction collectible pieces that you're putting on the shelf. And I want to really praise the fact that the styling of these is very much different than what you would normally expect to see on a comic store shelf. I mean, there's the traditional Pops and kind of the things similar to Pops, and all the companies are kind of doing that same style, or they get down to a style, and that's basically all you're seeing in comic book stores. To the credit, though, of the mini epics, the price point, yes, being higher, we're not going to talk too much about that anymore. But at least the style of these figures are very much different than what you normally would expect to see in comic stores. It's almost kind of like it reminds me, actually, here's the thing that was reminding me of, I couldn't quite place where I've seen this style before. It reminds me of the Men in Black cartoon. If anybody had seen the Men in Black cartoon back in the day, it had a very unique way of designing their characters. The Extreme Ghostbusters was similar to that as well. That's sort of where I'm getting that vibe when I'm looking at the mini epics. They're super stylized, more caricatures of the characters. And in the case of a Zuul Terror Dog, as you can see, the front end of it is a lot bigger than the back hind leg area of it. And it really works well for a character design like the Terror Dog. It actually kind of looks like the way it's got the one paw up like that, like it's actually hurt its paw. Don't buy into the idea it's hurt itself. If you go up to pet it, it's probably going to bite your head off. Don't even befriend a Terror Dog. It's not a really great idea. But of the 6 figures, not to be confused with the 7 listed on the back here, the 6 figures, my favorites were the Ray Stantz. Now we can kind of go back and do this. The Ray Stantz. Winston Zeddemore was good, but the body, there's still something off with the body. And of course, the Zuul Terror Dog is one of my personal favorites as well. Kind of like 5, 6, and 7 really on the back of the packaging were my favorites, and the Slimer. The Venkman was good. The Egon, it's not the greatest, but certainly I would say, again, you probably would be picking up all of these. If you're going to start going down the rabbit hole already, you might as well go all the way and collect all the figures from the Mini Epics lineup. These should be available, by the way, now in your local comic book stores. At one point, they started circulating them from the first wave, and then they didn't stock them for a while, so that was one of the reasons why I was only able to get the Venkman the first time. But then, recent times, going back into it, seems like comic book stores are now stocking the Mini Epics. So, if you missed your chance to get them the first time around, maybe go back and check your local comic book stores now to see if they have them now with the stock available. You're going to be paying a lot more for them than your regular Funko Pops. But I think the end result, though, is you're getting better looking collectibles, in all honesty, to be putting on display. What do you guys think of this line, now that we've certainly wrapped things up with now 6 of the figures of the Mini Epics line, not the glow-in-the-dark Slimer? That's a rabbit hole area I'm not going to cover. I don't want to start venturing off to the glow-in-the-dark options, although if I say that now, if they release a Vince Clortho, you know I'm going to track that down and get it to be on display with the Zuul here. But what is your favorite figures, though, from the ones that we've looked at of the 6 reviews of the Mini Epics? Let me know down below in the comment section. And if you're new here, coming out of town, possessed possibly by Gozer and one of the Terror Dogs, maybe not a good idea to stay for a while. I mean, I just put out all these snacks and sandwiches and brisk iced tea. That's not going to last very long. If somebody has been possessed by a Terror Dog, they're going to be scarfing that down. I'm going to have to replenish those snacks. I just don't have the budget to be. I mean, I've been dropping like $41 to $42 a piece on each one of these. I don't have the necessary funds available to replenish that snack table. So anybody, possessed or otherwise, don't go crazy on the snack table, please. If you please, leave enough for everybody else as well. What was I saying? Oh, yes. If you're new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you turn on the bell notification, and make sure, yes, you're coming back to this channel, because even though we have wrapped up the reviews of the mini epics, there's definitely a lot more reviews lined up and coming your way. As always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.